Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 401, or if you're in my private group, this is episode 604. As always, I hope you are doing wonderful, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about signals, and this is going to be very important. Hopefully, this will be a signal for you to consider something new. And to give you an analogy, to paint an idea in your mind as to making sense of it all. Let's just say we injure ourselves or we even cut ourselves, and what's the first thing our body's going to do? We're going to instantly feel a sensation, and that sensation is going to probably be something like pain. Now let's just say we carry on doing what we're doing, and what's going to happen? Our body's going to keep on giving us pain. And especially if we keep on using the same part of the body, or if we're still kind of bashing our hand against the wall when it's been cut already, it's going to be creating more pain. And if we were to ignore it, we kind of know that things are not going to go very well for us. But what would you do if you do have pain? You go ahead and pay attention to what that pain is. And you look down to your hand and you see a cut there. So what do? You may clean it out. You might put a bandage on it, put a band-aid or a plaster on it. And you would probably make sure you're not really bashing that part of your hand into anything. And if you do so, guess what? The body corrects itself. It is so intelligent, it will send all the right little things to bind the wound together to make sure you're healed. Sometimes it could be a small scar, but even that can disappear sometimes, and you are fine, all because of one thing. You paid attention to a signal from your system. But the question is, are we doing the same when it comes to the emotional level? More often than not, people do not. They prolong the experience of the signal, and by the prolonging of it, it creates the habit of it. It becomes a habitual way of feeling where you almost feel normal to experience that emotional pain. It sinks into our identity. It sinks into our personality. It begins to grow into different areas of our life. It's literally just begins to consume you. And if it consumes you long enough, it just feels almost natural. And even if you dislike it, even if you are absolutely in hate of it, it can feel like it will never change. And more often than not, it's because we avoided the signal from the system. Our unconscious mind, a thing which runs a fight and flight response, a thing which runs all the habits, a thing which holds all the healing, which runs all your memories, which runs all your values and your belief systems. Because if you could consciously change all those or assume responsibility, you would be doing it. But if you cannot, it must mean the unconscious mind is doing it. And at any given moment, your mind, your unconscious mind, is giving you out these signals. You see, anxiety is simply a signal. You see, if you cannot go to sleep at night, it is a signal from your unconscious mind keeping you up. It's that ringing sound in the middle of the night saying, look, pay attention, there's something happening in the home. It's a signal. If we're feeling inappropriate or overwhelming feelings such as anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, shame, any of those emotions, it's a signal. And more often than not, we think those emotions or those behaviors that we dislike are just either a way of life, a learned behavior, which is true to a degree, but they're also just signals. And they're signals which have been overlooked. They're the signals where you've had that cut on your hand and you kept on bashing it against that wall or kept on not paying attention to it. Now imagine what it would be like if you weren't heard. Imagine if you just felt like you were being silenced by everyone around you. That you were speaking out and you were giving your opinion on something, and they just literally ignored you. As if you were no one, that you didn't even exist, that you were even invisible. After a while, you'll probably be a little bit annoyed and you might be screaming a little bit louder. But if you are not being received, after a while, you just keep on doing the same thing. Maybe you also have a little bit of a negative association to that which is ignoring you. Maybe you get a little bit as if this is what it's like. That can be what your unconscious mind feels. I really believe that. I think the unconscious mind is reaching out to us, but we were never taught to pay attention. You see, the times when the unconscious mind is screaming out of us, just like the physical sensation of pain, but in a case of an emotion or a limiting belief or a limiting thought, or a behavior, a strategy, we usually go on to things such as escapism. Maybe we just leave that situation to get into our comfort zone. Maybe we'll have a drink. Maybe we'll go for that food to just dull that sensation, to just hopefully get through that feeling, that signal. But of course, eventually, once whatever you've taken or eaten or whatever you've done to have that level of escapism, and it could be as simple as going out for a walk to be able to change our state. It doesn't have to be all negative, but after a while, guess what? That signal reappears. It is still there. It's waiting for you to respond. But more often than not, we respond in a way of just trying to manage that signal, try to remove it or ignore it. But if we were to just remove the pain from that wound, it's not going to be healthy even. If you try to ignore that pain on that wound, definitely not healthy either. So why do we do it with our mind? Why do we do it with our emotion? Now, you're an intelligent person, right? You're listening to this, you're ready, you're willing, you're capable of doing many different things. But we were never taught to pay attention. You see, to me, anxiety is a signal to pay attention to what you want. You see, it's automatically looking for all the things which you don't want. It is a signal that is trying to protect you. Yes, is it out of date? Probably, because it was probably created when you were very young, or at least through a significant emotional event where you couldn't make a better decision. But it's still a signal. It might be misguided, but just because a signal is misguided, just because it even seems or feels annoying, it doesn't mean we should try to just switch it off. We must pay attention. So think about it right now. What are you not paying attention to? What is your unconscious mind reaching out for you? All those things that you experience, they're signals. And if we pay attention to them, it could mean something. It might mean we have to tackle it once and for all, so we're not continuously trying to dull it out. Maybe that pain signal or that emotional signal might wake us up to the fact, actually, it's not only time to let it go, but the nature of letting it go will allow me to be the person I've always dreamed to be. You see, on the one hand, people think the signal of the emotional stuff or the things we dislike about ourselves are bad things. The things we've tried to escape. But what if we face them? What if we actually dealt with them? I am incredibly happy that I experienced anxiety. I am so grateful for the gut-wrenching fear that I had as a child, going up through as a teenager. I am grateful to a degree that those issues caused me to drop out of college, not even get many C's. I only got 6 C's in GCSEs, which is like at 16 years old, which then in England we go to college after that. I only got 6. The rest were D's and E's. Now, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful I got to the point where I couldn't take it anymore, but I was showing it so much my dad pulled me aside and said, look, Joseph, you need to change. I can see that you're unhappy. I'm grateful for those signals I was giving off. That they were so strong that my dad, who actually now works with me, that he saw that within me. And the reason why I'm grateful for what I experienced, the deep pain that I hated at the time, the signals of anxiety and worry which were just excruciating to me, where I felt that people were judging me, where I was really judging myself, or the times I didn't feel worthy or capable to go for what I really wanted. I'm grateful for those moments. And I know it's hard to say that, and I wouldn't have said it at the time, of course. I was far from grateful. I was in disappointment. I was in excruciating worry. But looking back, I am grateful because it inspired me to do what I'm doing today. It caused me to wake up that there must be a different way of living. And even if you've tried many different things, maybe this could be your wake-up call too. Maybe the thing that you're experiencing might not only disappear with the right system or the right transformation, but maybe it will trigger a set of events, certain synchronicities that will allow you to help others, which will allow you to go and be and do and have all that you've ever desired, you just didn't think was possible. So maybe the thing that we hate the most or the experiences we dislike, maybe that could be the instigator of change because we paid attention to it. And one of the reasons I mentioned about my dad, because he works with me. He works within my company. I mean, he's successful in his own right, but he helps do many things within my company when it comes to being my head coach. And I'm so grateful for the fact because of my issue, we actually bonded because of that. And he helps people, I help people, and we help people together. And we've run trainings. We've run trainings in different parts of the country, or the countries, I should say. And I'm grateful because of the signal that I paid attention. So what is it that maybe you need to pay attention to? What is it that you're not paying attention to? Because just trying to dull it out with escapism techniques, it might make you feel good in a moment, but do you know what? That prolonged amount after a while doesn't feel good at all. And especially, and take it from me, with the thousands of people I've worked with over the last, 17, 18 years, I know the regret in someone's face when they realize they could have changed a lot quicker and faster, but they didn't pay attention to the signal. And when they did, they didn't always do something about it. You see, that signal of yours, the experiences, the symptoms that we experience, they're signals. And once you acknowledge them, pay attention to them, and then take action to deal with them, to meet the issue where it really lives, that is where you will transform. And sometimes that issue that you experience will be the biggest teacher of your life. I really believe that to be true as well. I believe the biggest teachers can be our biggest issues, because once we've learned from them, it opens up a whole new world before us, a set of possibilities that we never knew were possible if it weren't for the issue. Now, this is where responsibility comes in, of course. You must decide and be responsible. And I do believe you are a responsible person, right? You have values, you have integrity. So of course, if that is true, we can be responsible for our emotions. We can be responsible for the systems running within our mind. It doesn't make necessarily what was right in the past, like people who did things to us, doesn't make them right. But we can be responsible for this moment now together, to pay attention to the signals which have been given to you. I'm so happy I paid attention, and hopefully one day you will be as well, because it may be the one thing that transforms everything. It may lead you down a path just like it led me, and I'm not saying that you would necessarily become a coach, although if you did, I would applaud you for that. It's a fantastic job. But it might lead you to do something else. I know I've worked with people who have begun to create charities around the world because they faced their fear, they resolved what was needed, and because of that, and they worked with me, we solved the issue with them, and then they created something special because of it. So when times are tough, pay attention to those signals. What is really happening here? Don't look for the easy way out of changing our state. It doesn't mean that we have to feel the feelings to make them go away. I'm not a big believer in that. I think we should honor the emotions that we have. I definitely don't believe we should dwell within them, but at least pay attention to them. Because when you do, you never know what will happen. Maybe your life will transform and transcend to a whole new way, just like it did for me and just like it has for many people. In fact, many people have gone to my trainings. So when I teach people to do what I do, so I teach them my own personal techniques, and so does my dad, so does Melissa. We teach them and we certify them so they can actually do what we do. We give them even the business training now as well, so they can actually start making great money by providing a fantastic service of changing everyone that they work with. It's a win-win-win there. But many people who go on those trainings, they were once like us. They had their issue. They didn't want to just become a coach for the fun of it most of the time. It's because coaching or some form of transformation happened within them. They experienced an issue, a conflict, that they wanted to resolve, and then they resolved it, say for example through my processes, in this case, in this analogy. Then they choose to go on a training to learn how to do that too. And of course, we taught them how to do that, so then of course they probably went on our training for that reason. A level of rapport there. Trust, you could say. But it will be the same thing for other trainers and other trainings around the world. So just know, you never know what might happen by just really paying attention. So all the things that we're going through, the resistance that we experience, maybe there's a lesson within the resistance that once we pay attention to, will remove the resistance. Because the resistance that we're coming up against is simply, in my mind, a signal. And it's a very simplistic way, but to be honest, if you've upped me at this point, I'm a kind of simple guy, and I think that actually works good for me. I use it to my advantage. I look for simple answers rather than getting crazy complex about things. I like the complexity, I can't even say the word, that's why I probably don't do it. The complex side of things. But, just like my previous episode actually, but I like the simple solutions, the things which will work time and time again, which won't only let go of the issue, but it will be there for you in every situation. No matter how turbulent on the outside, you'll be the safe haven within, the peaceful warrior, the person who takes a stand. And it reminds me of the story, and I don't know if you know this, and I'll probably say it wrong anyway, so hopefully you haven't heard this, but it's almost as if, and I'm sure you'll resonate too, there's that little internal voice who says, "You can't do this. Who are you to experience joy? Who are you to have that relationship? Who are you to experience wealth? You know that money is the root of all evil. You know you need to be intelligent to receive money. You know that you need to be able to have the right economy. You know that you won't be able to find maybe the type of person, they'll just use and abuse you. You're never going to get anywhere." And whether that person heard it from other people time and time again, maybe from their mother, their father, maybe from society as a whole, maybe just on the inside, that internal voice just kept on saying it and saying it and saying it. And that internal voice goes, "You won't be able to handle the storm that is coming your way if you choose to make this change. You won't be able to handle the storm which is coming your way if you want to do something about it. And in that one moment, that person decides something, to pay attention to even to that voice. Not to just listen, not to just hear the words, not to accept it. But the signal in that moment was to do something else. And it was simply in return when that voice or that person says you won't be able to weather the storm. The voice of the real self says, I am the storm. So that would mean I can handle anything. And there's a meaning behind that. You see, the storm could be coming, but you could be the storm too. And you could actually create the issues to wane away because you take responsibility, you take ownership. That means you are the storm, and you are bringing the greatness your way. But it comes from taking that decision to pay attention. And you have to be responsible. You have to be decisive. You have to be even a little bit resourceful. And in my opinion, you gotta be professional. You gotta have your life to a degree in order where you're willing to do whatever it takes. But when you are professional, when you take your life in a professional way, and you're willing to do that, be that, even if you don't know how, that is where I believe you transform. That is where I think something great happens, because you paid attention. So I hope you got value out of that. Now, if you are resourceful, if you are responsible, if you are ready, if you are professionally stable in every way, like you are ready to make a change, maybe we can show you how to make that change. If you experience anxiety, worry, doubts, anything like that, the low self-esteem, the self-consciousness, if you're sick of it, if you are sick and tired of it and you are ready to embark on the journey of your life, we will show you how you could possibly do that. And if you're a good fit, we will show you how. If you're not, of course, we'll hopefully share with you alternative directions. But if you are willing, and we feel that you are willing and ready, we will show you how to do that, if we possibly can. If we feel like we're a good fit. And if you want to figure out that, go to josephclough.info/go. That's G-O, josephclough.info/go. And with that, we'll be able to support you and assist you and show you how to let it go in the short term for the long term. And I'll speak to you on a future episode. Many thanks and goodbye.